Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in podcast land. This is Steve Reed with Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. I am excited to be here today. We've got a great show for you today. And I'm also excited that I just got tired of my co-host Ray. I booted him out and he's inconsequential today. Actually, he is in an undisclosed location. So with me today in Ray's place is Ray's executive vice president, Ms. Debbie Schofield. Debbie, how in the world are you from Port Richey, Florida?
I'm doing great. Very nice to be here. Thank you very much. And it's an honor to keep Ray's seat warm for him till he gets back.
Well, Debbie, I'm thinking we need to just go ahead and change the name of the show to to Taboo Talk with Debbie and Steve, or Steve and Debbie, or and when Ray decides he's going to come back. So anyway, by the way, I too am in an undisclosed location, but I'm in North Texas. So it is so exciting to be here today. So Debbie, here are a couple of real quick things about you and Heroes in Action. I'm just going to run through these real quickly. We'll have more time to talk about some of these things. Heroes in Action is an absolutely phenomenal organization that's there to help protect our children, our ladies, etc. And Debbie, how long have you been with Ray?
Well, I've been training with Ray for over 23 years. But
Okay.
I've been working with Heroes in Action for about the last 5.
Very good. Excellent. Excellent. Well, today we have a special guest, and our special guest today is Ms. Orly Armor. Orly is a business coach for public speakers and entrepreneurs. She is a public speaker herself. She's a networking expert, and she is also a best-selling author and a philanthropist. So today, please help me welcome Miss Orly Amore. Orly, how in the world are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you, Steve and Debbie. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, today's topic is truly another one of those taboo topics. And before we go any further, I'm going to give you a little disclaimer. This is an opinion-based program, and it does not necessarily reflect any of our affiliates or sponsors or all of everybody that's involved in the program. This is our opinions, and likewise, Orly, your opinions as well. So that is our disclaimer. So, Orly, before we get really launched into the whole topic of sex trafficking and helping women and people get out of the sex trafficking trade, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, some of the things that were the impetus for you getting involved in this whole crazy industry.
Well, thank you so much for that. And yes, I will keep it as brief as possible, or I'll just go into it. Right now, as a business coach for public speakers, I have been around the world speaking in 27 countries, 20 states. And the way I got into public speaking was through my profession before this, which was in property management. And one day, one of my friends asked me to speak at a women's shelter, and I refused to do it for 3 weeks. I don't know if you have an annoying friend, but I have annoying friends. And she was calling me almost every day for 3 weeks, asking me to come to the shelter and speak. And I said, well, what do you want me to speak about? Do you want me to talk about property management? What do you want? And she said, well, no, I want you to tell your story. And I said, oh, no, that's not coming about. We're not doing that. And so she called every day. And at one point, I said to her, well, why do you want me to speak about this? There's other people that speak about this topic. And she said, well, because you have this bubbly personality, and everywhere you go, networking events, people hug you, people who don't even know you hug you. And, uh, and I just want you to come and tell your story. And you're living a life that most people dream about. So why don't you just come and give those women hope? And I still said no, because I had the shame and the feeling judged part and so on. And finally, I asked her, well, what do I have to do to take you off my phone? And she said, well, you have to say yes. And I remember this like it was yesterday. This was almost 20 years ago. Anyway, so I decided to say yes, and I hired a coach to help me with my speech. And I went to this women's shelter. And after I got done speaking, since my background was in property management, I used to get different reactions there where people would say, Miss Amor, in my board of directors, we have this problem. But in this case, it was something very euphoric. I got off the stage and all I got was thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for giving me hope. It was very heartfelt, but at the same time, it was my first motivational speech. So you guys have to understand that I was not expecting that. And it was really taking me back. And this one woman was crying. Everybody was crying on my shoulder, but this one particular woman, I'll never forget her. She was crying profusely and she said, thank you so much. You don't understand. And I said, sweetheart, you got to breathe, calm down. She's like, no, you don't understand. I said, no, I do understand. Everybody here understands. Please calm down. I beg of you, just breathe. And at one point she yelled at me, no, you don't understand. And that really took me aback. Again, I'm having goosebumps telling you this, and it happened such a long time ago. And she took a piece of paper out of her pocket and she showed it to me and she said, you see here, this is how I was gonna kill myself this morning, because I don't even remember driving from my house to the shelter, because you see here, that's not where I was going. But I heard you speak and I want to live. I just need you to show me how. And I can tell you right now, bawling was not, Niagara Falls, I could not hold it together. And to give you a glimpse into my story, I was a beaten up child. I was molested 4 times before the age of 14. I was raped 3 times before the age of 22, twice gang raped, 9 months apart, left for dead. I was also married to a very abusive husband, both mentally and physically. And as a result of all that, I had 4 abortions and I gained a morbid amount of weight. I was 428 pounds at my heaviest. Now, I have a master's in business administration. I have a law degree. And with all these accolades, nothing could prepare me for what I was about to learn and what I was about to do. I feel accomplished, but at the end of the day, I am so proud of where I am today, but I'm so grateful because I'm able to help others and support others in my journey.
Wow, that's amazing. Orly, I know you have a foundation called You Are My Light. What was the pivotal point where you said, I have to do more? And what was the pivotal point when you started your foundation? How did you come up with the name? And how did you come up with the concept?
Well, thank you so much for that question. It's totally loaded, Debbie, but let's jump in. So in 2015, I used to do conferences on cruise ships, and one of the speakers that came on board was talking about human trafficking. And so I learned that in 2015. I learned about human trafficking. I didn't know what it was. I knew about it. I just didn't know the numbers. And when she was talking and giving me statistics about the numbers in this industry of human trafficking, I was blown away. And so I decided to donate to the charity that they had on a regular basis. It's motivational missions, and they go into underdeveloped countries and teach the children that their circumstances are not dictating their future, and also teaching them about how to watch for themselves and their brothers and sisters and neighbors and so on. It's like if you see something, say something, right? And they go around also teaching the hotel and restaurant industry to watch out for how this is happening, because it's happening in those facilities. So I learned about it. But in 2020, with all this political craziness, I don't get political. I am not a politician. I do not even care right, left, or uneven. I just care about people getting along. But one of my friends talked to me about human trafficking again, but she also talked to me about other things like adrenochrome and the things that are called conspiracy, which are not. But you know what? I said, I'm not going to get into that, but it was making me sick to my stomach because of what I learned and now what I know and what I've seen, the videos and so on. And in February of 2021, I sat down with one of my financial planners, and we were talking about my philanthropical side, because I just had a dream, which actually was a nightmare. I woke up from a nightmare, but it was real to me. My eyes were open, but I felt like I was there. And I woke up screaming, "Where are you taking them?" And even I scared my husband, to tell you. I yelled so loud and I woke up, but I was still sleeping, kind of a thing, where I was seeing men taking these children away, pulling away from me, looking back at me like if I'm crazy, but then just continuing walking. And I realized that something very, very important just happened to me. And so when I met with my financial planner, I told him about the dream, and I told him about what I know, and he was blown away about how much I know. And I said to him, I said, you know what I need to do? I think I see a lack of, there's nowhere to take these children and women that are being rescued. And then I was starting to talk to ex FBI agents, ex CIA agents, ex militants who are going into these rescue missions, and they're all telling me the same thing. There is nowhere to take them. When they're below the age of 18, we have to put them back into foster care. When they're above the age of 18, we have to take them to women's shelters, but those shelters don't have any room, don't know how to deal with trafficked victims. And so, therefore, we have to find another way to help them, because the lifespan of a rescued victim is 7 days. So we can get into that later on, but that drove me, up the walls in my mind and in my heart. So I decided to create a foundation, but I didn't know what to call it. So for 3 months I'm breaking my head while my financial planner is helping me build an executive board. And we're talking about numbers, putting it all together, putting uh, the the script and the explanation of how we're going to do this. And at one point, one of the executive boards, we're talking finance, and he writes in the chat, he goes, Orly, Orly, means you are my light in Hebrew. And I said, Thomas, what is that? And he said, well, Orly means you are my light in Hebrew. I said, I know, I'm born in Israel. That's why I was named that, Orly. And he said, well, why don't we call the foundation You Are My Light Foundation? And I started crying, and everybody else in the meeting was like, I motion to call it You Are My Light Foundation, and everybody second and third, and all in favor. And it was like so unbelievable. I was crying because it was in front of me the whole time, and I did not see it. So it was very weird, because I was looking for all kinds of names. I was writing them down, pages and pages of writing all kinds of names that I can call this foundation. And so we made it official in June of 2021 to call it You Are My Light Foundation. So thank you so much for asking me that question, because I love telling that story, and I love telling people that I cannot take credit for calling it You Are My Light Foundation.
Orly, that is a fabulous story, and I am not one that believes in coincidences, or as some people call them, coinkininks. That is not a coincidence at
Yeah.
all. That
Mm.
what a wonderful story. So you mentioned a couple of things. You threw a couple of things in there. We don't have time to unpack some of the things, like the. And I'm not even going to go there. Um, but have you seen a rise in attention as a result of the open borders that we're dealing with in South Texas and Arizona, New Mexico, California? Are you seeing any more impact in the things that you're doing?
Well, the numbers are rising, and I'll tell you why they're rising. So it's not only about the borders being open.
Hmm.
Even the cartels are getting into human trafficking,
Yes.
because it's an easy product to sell over and over again, and you don't have to transport it.
Yep.
And
Now,
you can just hold your victim hostage in a hotel room and just bring. And if you ever wanted to watch a movie, it's on, and you have Amazon Prime, it's called 8 Days. It was produced by someone who also has a foundation, or a nonprofit, if you will, called Share. And I think that, everybody is bringing awareness. My advocacy, if you will, came from looking at a lot of these foundations and nonprofits that have nothing to do with human trafficking, and where they're plastering human trafficking, donate here, uh, but the money is not going to human trafficking, or it's not even, or it's going overseas, or I mean, it's really here in America that we need the help, that we need to treat this, and we need to stop it. But yes, I do see a rise.
So it's not just the trafficking side of things, but you mentioned something about organ harvesting also.
Yes.
Uh,
So
Talk to us about
organ
that.
yeah, well, organ harvesting is basically second to human trafficking as far as the money. Human trafficking right now is over 150 billion dollar a year, and it's rising as far as how much money they make from these victims. And organ trafficking has just taken another. I mean, it's just going to the next level, if you will. If they're not killing them for the blood, they're killing them for the organs, and it's also a rising number. People
Uh,
are not aware, but it's happening
Insidious,
in our backyard.
absolutely insidious. And it's interesting. I hadn't seen anything about organ harvesting or the blood or those sorts of things until just a few years ago, and now I'm seeing a lot of information about that. It is absolutely it's appalling. We've had several guests on here over the past 8 months that Ray and I have been doing the show. We had somebody that had come out of the foster care industry, and how some of the things in social media. He was talking a lot about social media and how social media is being used in so many ways to increase the trafficking and to look for the young girls, young boys, etc. And that's not even including the things related to the cartels and the coyotes and so forth, and how they're doing things as well.
Right.
So I mean, it's just the methodologies that they're doing. We've had police officers that have been on talking about some of the human trafficking things that are going on, and how the people will be basically trafficked, come into the United States, and then they're immediately whisked away, and they're taken to Los Angeles or Seattle or Chicago or New York or wherever, or Podunk, Kentucky, wherever, and then they go to work. And so I mean, it's absolutely insane what is going on. So what are you seeing with your research and in some of the other things related to trafficking and the organ harvesting, et cetera? What are you seeing specifically?
Well, I mean, people need to understand that human trafficking, whether it's labor or sex, whatever that is, it's called modern day slavery. And all of this is been happening in our backyards, literally next door neighbor. They all look very nice and very polished, and you would never think. And then their house gets raided, and the neighbors will go, well, wow, they were such nice people. I could not imagine they do this. But there are signs to know what to look for. So I invite your listeners and whoever is looking at this to go to iamonwatch.com. I'm sorry, iamonwatch.org, and look at some of those videos. To get certified as an I am on watch person who knows about it. It's about an hour of watching little videos and learning more about the details of what it looks like. When you were mentioning, Steve, about the social media, that is very interesting because social media has been one of the fourth runners of this whole industry for years, but nobody wanted to listen and nobody wanted to look into it. Some of the not only websites, but also some of the job seeking platforms where you put an ad that you're looking for somebody to work. Those have been very good at getting people or getting women or getting girls to get the job, right? So they show up at the job and never to be seen again. It's things that people don't talk about. They don't want to talk about it. And what I'm seeing is a lot of people are still ignorant to what's going on. And you know what? Maybe they're not ignorant by choice. Maybe are by choice. If I say it, I mean, what I mean by that is, sometimes when we don't want to look at something so horrific, we just tend to look the other way. And I think that it's time to not look the other way, because it could happen to your daughter, it could happen to your sister, it could happen to your niece, nephew, your best friend's children, etc., or grandchildren. This is happening in our neighborhoods. It is happening right now. It is live. You know, when they go live on TV, it's live. But the media itself is trying to hide it from the public. And when anybody comes out and talks about it, they call it a conspiracy theory. Anything they don't want you to know about, they just say, oh, don't worry about it, don't believe it, it's a conspiracy theory. Well, you know what? Open your eyes and do your own research. And I'm talking to your audience when I say that. Do your own research. Look around. Watch out for things that are you're looking at, and don't put your head, in the sand, because it might hit you one day. And I have a friend of mine where it hit one of his friend's daughters. I want you to know the age bracket that they're looking for. It's 10 to 14 years old. But don't kid yourself. There are babies that are being stolen for sex trafficking. There are women that are 18 years old that are taken and never to be seen again until they're 30. Some of the saved rescued or the rescue missions are taking out women who are between the age of 18 and 30 years old. They have lost their life serving men who are just thinking about using them for money and for sex and for labor. But this is happening in our backyards.
Oh, Orly, um, this is a very depressing thing.
I'm
Uh,
so sorry.
no, no, I understand. It's depressing, but we have to talk about these things. The great thing is, I know that you've got some things that will give people hope. But sometimes we have to go through the depression in order to get to the hope.
Yeah.
And to hear the stories, and I know you've got a lot of stories, as do Debbie and myself. I've been doing a lot of coaching, and I've worked with women that have been battered and abused and so forth. I had one woman several years ago that when she was 13, she was molested repeatedly, raped repeatedly, gang raped, and then she was kidnapped, sold into prostitution, where she stayed for 10 years. Thankfully, she was arrested, but she had gotten hooked on drugs and alcohol and so forth. But as she was getting out of that, she had gotten to the point where she could only see herself as a prostitute, as a drug addict. And it took a lot of work, but we were able to help her reframe who she is and how she sees herself, which I know when we get back, we're gonna take a brief commercial break. But when we get back, I'm gonna want you to share with us some information about some of the things that you're doing and how you're looking to help people coming out of the whole trafficking world. So, with that said, we do need to take our first commercial break. And our first commercial break, we're going to go. Debbie, why don't you share with us for a moment about Heroes in Action?
Great. Yes, Heroes in Action is a nonprofit organization. It was founded by Ray Amanat to bring awareness about bullying and violence in schools, in our homes, our workplaces, our communities, and abroad. Violence, including trafficking, um, against women, violence against children, any kind of violence. We work on that problem. Ray has authored a series of children's books called The Adventures of Mushy the Martian. These books deal with how to talk to strangers, how to deal with bullies, and how to follow directions. They fall in line with our children's programs for anti-bullying and for child safety, which we have in schools. And we also can do seminars and ongoing classes. We work with women on women's self-defense. We'd love to work in women's shelters doing that. We work with a lot of women's groups. We also work with families. So they have a plan in case they're all together when they're confronted with some kind of violence. And we work with businesses. So they can work either in team building for a fun thing, or we teach them how to work together as a team if an active shooter situation would happen. And we do have a mascot, Mushy the Martian. Mushy goes to grand openings, events. We like to take them to children's parties, children's hospital. We're anywhere go everywhere Mushy goes, happiness follows. So Mushy is a great mascot for us. You have any questions, or if you'd like to, we're having a fundraiser too. If you'd like to donate, we're trying to get 4,000 people to donate $5 on a reoccurring basis. That will allow us to take our programs for free, training for free everywhere we go. You can go to our website, which is heroesinaction.us. Or if you'd like to be a sponsor, you can contact us at the number you see here, or you can get hold of us through our website or Ray at heroesinactionnow.org.
Debbie, thank you so much. I have to do a personal testimonial about Mr. Amanat, and I can't do it when he's online here because his head will swell. But I had, as you know, I had the opportunity to spend some time with Ray a couple of weeks ago, and he taught me some absolutely fabulous things about my own personal self-defense and how to be better prepared, how to be more observant to the things that are going on. And if he can help me, old dog like me, I know he can help anybody to be better prepared. And it's not about the rock'em sock'em, put people out and so forth. It's about how to defend yourself and how to be prepared so that if you need to get away, you can get away. But you can take care of yourself. So he gave me some very good tips. So I can't wait to try these different tips. I've been working on my little 10-pound dog, but the dog's just not cooperating with me. So I don't know what to do. I may have to find some little 85-year-old woman and practice on her or something. So anyway, I'm kidding. That's a joke. Okay, don't throw anything at me. So anyway, Debbie, thank you so much. Thank you not only for the information about Heroes in Action and all the great things you guys are doing, but thank you again for filling in today for Mr. Amana. Well, let's bring Orly back on and let's continue on with our next question. Debbie, what do you have for Orly?
Well, Orly, I want to know what types of training and what kinds of services that you have for the women that you rescue out of trafficking. And I know trafficking has no prejudice or any, toward whether it's a woman, a man, the color, at their age. But I'm sure when you do your services, how do you gear it toward maybe a younger woman who's been in it a shorter time, or an older woman who's been in it since she was a very young child, or a man? How do you gear it toward those people?
So we are affiliated to many groups that are doing the rescues. And our goal is really to build the healing center so that there's a place where they can come safely from these rescue missions. And they go through a series of things. First and foremost, they need to be detoxed, because here's what's happening right now. When they are being rescued and they are sent to, let's say, a shelter, or back into foster care, where it all starts. When they go into foster care, they run away. So they go into the streets, they go back to prostitution, selling drugs. When they get caught by the cops take them to jail. They don't know how to treat them, so they give them drugs, and they either die from overdose or go crazy. And when they go crazy, they put them in it, like in a secluded place where they actually commit suicide, and then they die. When it comes to shelters, and so the older population, they put them in the shelter, but the shelter doesn't know how to treat human trafficking victims, because they don't know how much drugs they've had. They don't know about their condition, and they do have conditions from that. And here is another thing that I'll get back to that in a second. But the one thing that they do is that they cannot hold them there because they don't have the money to support it. They don't know how to treat them, so they put them back in the street, and so they go back to prostitution or drugs, and then they get caught, again, the cops take them into jail, and in jail they overdose them, so they die. The lifespan, like I said earlier, is 7 days. It is horrific to even think that that's all the option they have. So when those rescue missions are happening and we take them into our center, which that's what we're raising funds for, is to open the first one. It's a big center. I don't want people to think that it's just like a little house or just a safe house type of thing, because even as in a safe house, they're not able to do anything but to keep them safe, maybe, but that's about it. They don't treat them. They suffer from what is called DID, which is a dissociative identity disorder, and for all of us commoners, it's called multiple personality disorder. Now, there is no cure for multiple personality disorder, but we can teach them how to live with it, and that's a good thing. Now, in our centers, they will go first through detox and an assessment to where they are. We have no idea. Number one. Number two is that their ID has been taken away from them. So some of them don't even remember their own name. They have no idea who their parents are. They don't even know where they were born. They were so young when they were taken that they've been brainwashed, and you got to understand that. And when they have the multiple personality disorder, you don't know which one you're talking to, so they forget from one personality to the next. You need people who are trained to deal with those traffic victims and knowing how to deal with the ID. Furthermore, because we are just a very big center, I want you to think about a big shopping center, but in with different wings for different things. After they've been detoxed, which takes between 3 days and 2 weeks minimum, unless they're on a very elevated detox solution, which we will deal with. It could be longer than 2 weeks. Then they are going to go to the next phase, which is mental health issues, that we need to start healing them, that we need to start letting them feel safe, and they will all be living there, so they will feel safe, because the room and board is provided, food is provided, the clothing is provided, everything is provided to them. That is at no cost to anyone but our partners, right? I mean, that's what we're looking for. Corporate partners to continue the stream of income, but we are going to create a way to have a stream of income to keep the lights on all the time, so that never again these people will suffer. From there, they have to go into, after we go through therapy for a little while, it could be from 6 months to a year, and then we have to give them skill sets, soft skills, hard skills, to actually make them entrepreneurs and give them the ability to create their own business and provide for themselves without counting on anyone else. Because what is happening in modern slavery right now is that they are using them to work and don't pay them. And that is, and you know what happens to a victim that has been rescued and now they're working, people are giving them hope, then they are using them again. They are basically, exploiting them. That is making it worse mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, that we cannot allow that to happen again. So we have a whole protocol and a whole curriculum for each phase of their life, coming out of being a rescued victim to being a survivor and a thriver.
So, Orly, I know you've heard of Stockholm syndrome. Are you
Yes.
seeing that as being a big player in this whole world?
Of course, because they're so brainwashed, they feel like they're in love with their perpetrators. They think that the sexual abuse and the verbal abuse, the physical abuse, no matter what it is, that it's love. That's what they're being taught. They're being taught that that's love. So when they are being rescued, they want to go back, because we don't love them. We just took them away from the people that love them the most, right? I mean, that's what they feel like. But we need to educate them again that it's not right. And it's going to be a tough fight, but at the end of the day, it's possible. And that's what's hope. That's what hope is all about, is about knowing that some of this is possible, to live life again free. That's our motto, is live life free, right? Because
Very
we
cool.
want them to have that dignity back and their God-given right to life, freedom, education, and autonomy.
Orly, I'm sorry, Steve, go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
I was going to say, I know that a lot of times the families themselves are involved in the trafficking, but are the women or the people that you rescue ever reunited with their families? Do the families ever get involved and help with their, bringing them back into society, back into the fold?
If the family didn't give up on looking for them, number one. Number two, they might not remember their family. There's a part of their personality that will not remember. It's not amnesia. It's just because they have switched so much personalities, they don't know who they are. But I'll give you another one. Some people, children and women who have been brought into this country from another country, there's no family looking for them. They are brought in from other countries in the world. They're brought into America. Their passports are taken away. They're promising, they pay for them to their parents abroad, where they tell them, oh, we're going to give your son, daughter an education, and don't worry, we'll take care of them. Here's money for you to live here in your own country in poverty, but so your other children can eat. And we're going to take these two children with us to America. Once they cross the border, they're taken their passports or whatever it is out, and now that gets burnt, literally burnt in front of them, and say, okay, you can't go back now. You have to do what I say.
It, Orly, again, I can't think of a word that describes this other than insidious. This is absolutely insane. I'm reminded of the movie from, oh gosh, probably 30 years ago, called The Green Mile. And there was one of the actors, one of the stars in the program, was in prison, and he was released, but he couldn't handle it on the outside. He had to commit another crime so he could be put back into where he was safe. Are you seeing that that's a similar type of a scenario, that some of these people, that they're arrested, but they don't feel safe in this new environment, and they want to go back to where they felt safe, even though they were beaten, they were abused, they were taken advantage of, mistreated, etc.? Is that a similar type of a scenario?
Absolutely. But we have a bigger problem here in America as well. I mean, if you think about our inmates that go in for 20 some years, think of the Shawshank Redemption, I mean, when they don't see a way out, you know what I mean? Where they don't fit into society, they don't feel like they can fit, but there's no programs for our inmates to actually come back into society. They're just like, okay, here you go. Here's the money that you saved throughout the time that you were here. Here's your personal belongings. Here's a place that you can start by staying there for, on a weekly basis, rent a room, whatever. And then you got to get a job, and nobody wants to hire you, and there's no program to get them back on into society, so they commit another crime because it's the only thing they know. Same thing for the victims of human trafficking and labor slavery. They don't know better. But what if we had the center to teach them better, to show them better, to give them the money and everything that they're going to need? They can work in the center eventually, and get back into life, but knowing what to do, what to expect, to be proud, to be free of all the hang-ups that they have in them because of what they've been through. We have to have a lot of compassion for these people. I don't even know how to express it. And really, at this moment, I'm so proud of myself because I'm not crying. Usually on shows, I cry so much that I'm not able to get it all rationally out. But you have to have a lot of compassion for these children. They don't know better. And if we don't give them that education, if we don't give them the love that they need, not love from us, but the love that they need to understand that they can have self-respect and go back into the world, because God loves them, like to give them that spiritual side, that there is somebody watching over them, and that they survived, and now they can just learn the skill sets to thrive. They're not going to make it either, whether it's Stockholm syndrome or not giving them the tools. They're not going to make it.
Orly, again, we can continue talking about this for hours, I know, but we need to take another brief
Yes.
break. So I need to share with you a little bit of information about an absolutely life-changing product. And the product is called the LifeWave X39 patch. And what this is, it's a simple wafer thin. I got to put that so it doesn't show against my white shirt. It's just a simple white wafer thin patch that you peel off the back and you put it on your body, and it actually reflects light back into your body, and creates a copper peptide that tells your body to reproduce or to start activating your own personal stem cells. I did some research many years ago about stem cell therapy, probably 25, 30 years ago. And the only source for stem cells at that point in time was from aborted babies. And I said, I don't want to have anything to do with that. I looked into it again about 4 or 5 years ago, and the treatment process for doing stem cell therapy that literally helps in the age reversal process. Well, the cost was between $3,000 and $5,000 and up per injection, and there were no guarantees. And when I was introduced to this little patch about 10 months ago, about 10 months ago, it literally changed my life. I started using the patches, and pain that I had dealt with for over 10 years was gone within just a couple of days. I can tell you a ton of stories. I've got one of my clients that she was in pain for 20 years as a result of being contaminated by the chemicals from the Gulf War 20 years ago. And when they were blowing up all of the chemical plants, all those chemicals were airborne and they're going south. And she was developing an autoimmune issue. And within days, she was literally completely out of pain. She was able to sleep for the first time in absolutely years. But some of the different benefits that you have of these different patches, rapid pain relief, reduced inflammation, rapid pain rapid wound healing, more energy, better mental clarity, faster recovery from exercise. And one of my favorite ones is your appearance actually improves. I had somebody tell me a couple of weeks ago, that I look younger. Here's an example of an appearance improvement. There's a young man that was in a skiing accident, and you can see after only 5 days using these stem cell patches how you can barely see the challenges. Here's a man that had a car accident in just 2 months. You can barely see that he had any kind of an injury. Young fellow that had his fingertip cut off, and in 2 months, it completely restored his fingertip. And here's a woman that in just a few short weeks, she looks younger as a result of these stem cell activation patches. So, if you would like information on these stem cell patches, I would love to get you some more information. Feel free, reach out. Here's my email address. Happy to give you more information on this. And Devin, let me bring you back in. Any comments that you have before we bring Orly back in? Anything that you wanted to say about the topic at hand today?
Um, Orly is absolutely right that people don't want to think about bad things. So they put their heads in the sand. We find that with self-defense training, with everything. They'll buy a lottery ticket if the odds are 3,000 to 1 because someone's got to win. But when it comes to something bad, oh, it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to my family. So she's absolutely right that people have to be aware. They have to do the research because it is right in front of them.
Very true. So, Orly, you started talking about the center that you want to develop and your foundation. You've mentioned that several different times. When you say foundation, you're not just talking about a concrete foundation. You're talking about getting a bunch of people together that have their resources, their expertise. It sounds like you need doctors and nurses and therapists and counselors and people who can teach trades, and I mean all of these different types of people. Orly, that's gonna take a lot of money to do something like that. Talk to us about what you're experiencing and what you're trying to do to solve that problem.
So we are always talking to people about donating in kind as well as money, because we are going to need land to either build, or we're going to need somebody that has an abandoned mall, because we have a couple of already donations in kind. Like we have a architect firm that donated their time to start us off, to give us a little bit of a glimpse of what it's going to look like. We actually have a plan, and so that's really cool. I'm excited about that. It is a brick and mortar, and it's a big endeavor. And I'm talking to people, and they're always saying, "Oh my God, you're doing God's work." I'm not here. This is not an ego boost for me. I am blessed to have a couple of companies and doing well, but this is my way of giving back and leaving a legacy of some sort, that my life was not, and what I've been through was not in vain. So what I'm looking to do is to maybe find the person that is going to donate some land or donate a building, or so that we can get started. And we have the infrastructure as far as the business model, the curriculum, what's going to happen, the onboarding system, all of that. And we would love to tell people that are rescuing these victims that now there is a bigger place to take them. There are other organizations that are providing safe house project, like the safe houses, if you will, but they're only able to serve a few people. We're talking 2, 3, a family of 3, or 1 or 2 girls, or 4 girls in one house. We're not looking to do that. We're looking to really have a place for 200 of these victims, because the way that they are saved, they are saved by the dozens and hundreds. There was one rescue in Texas not long ago. 70 kids and women were saved from this hotel that they were taking out of. We don't know where they went. We have no idea where they took them. And if they took them to foster care, or because that's what it was saying in the article, is that they're taking them to foster care, or they're taking them to women's shelters. And I'm thinking in my head, are you nuts? That's where it starts. That they're not gonna make it. And before I even started to talk to you about my events, I'm going to tell you that 7 days is the lifespan of a rescued victim. I am scared just for that.
Well, Orly, you have a gala coming up, I believe, October 8th, to, I presume, raise money to help you do this. Tell us about that.
Yes. So the gala is our second annual gala. The first one was in Texas, in Dallas, actually, last year, and it was a tough program to put together, but we made it, and it was great. We didn't raise any money, to tell you the truth. We were able to pay for the venue and everything, and but the thing is that this time around, we really need help. We need to raise the money so that we can break ground either by the end of the year or beginning of 2023. The goal is to really be able to help more people than 2 or 3. Not that we don't want to help the 2 or 3, but that's making a dent. That's like the tip of the iceberg. And the tip of the iceberg has been helped by other organizations who are doing it at the best of their ability and are raising little money. We are looking to do this in a bigger way, so we do need the help. We need people to just come and show up for this gala, to buy a ticket. It's $500 for one person, $750 for 2, and $3,000 for a full table of 8 people. We're making it a theme of the Great Gatsby, because in those days, people not only knew how to promote, to connect with each other, but crime was very high, and we can definitely stop it. We need to stop this madness, and we're not going to do it alone. We're going to need to build an army. Steve, that you said that we need to build an army to be able to serve these people, and we have a lot of people that want to come on board, but before that, we need a place to take them.
So, Orly, you're obviously looking for people to get involved.
Yes.
And I believe that you said that the gala is in Orlando. Is that right?
Correct. So it's in Orlando, Florida, at the Lake Buena Vista Sheraton Resort, Hotel and Resort. It's on the 8th of Saturday, the 8th of October. It starts at 6 p.m. all the way to 10 p.m.
So that's just a couple months away. So actually, not even that. Less than 2 months.
We're 6 weeks away. Yes, I know. It's
wow.
a little stressful.
Wow.
It's a little stressful.
How do they get the tickets? Do they just go through the website, or
they can go through the website, or they can actually text the word LIGHT, LIGHT, to 55312, and they will have all the information there, and they'll be able to purchase directly the ticket there, and then they'll get an email to let them know how, what, when. Anybody that signs up before the 15th of September is going to be considered a VIP, and being a VIP will also allow them to visit a chocolate museum that day in the morning, and also we'll have them a plaque with their name at the center. The first center will have the founders, the founding members, if you will, of You Are My Light Foundation will have a plaque with their name on the wall of donations. They will. So there's a lot of good things that are coming up, and they can see it by texting the word light to 55312.
Now, are there also, I know a lot of these types of events, they'll do silent auction opportunities as well. Will you have
Yes.
that as well?
Yeah, we have a silent and a live auction, and as people sign up, they will also get a link that, or people who want to get a link, they can just donate, and they will get a link to all the items that are for bid, and they'll be able to actually do the live auction online or a silent auction online without coming to the event if they cannot make it. I understand when sometimes people cannot make it. There's so many events, there's so many things, and family events, all kinds of reasons why they cannot make it, and I totally get that.
What types of things are you looking for in the auction items?
Well, yeah, our art, art is good. Memorabilia is good. Any celebrity. We are also looking for celebrity attendees that will come and maybe just attend and have some pictures taken or even speak. We would love to have some celebrities. And if anybody knows Ashton Kutcher, and you can put me in touch with him, that would be great. Or Tim Tebow, because they're very much involved in the human trafficking. Ashton has done an amazing job at saving about 6,000 people, and he's been scolded for doing that many savings. Saving that many people. He's been scolded and criticized and ridiculed. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? He's at least he's doing something. A lot of people think, oh, let somebody else handle it, or we'll wait till they take care of it. Who's going to take care of it? We are the people who need to take care of it. We are the ones who need to get involved. And I know that there's many opportunities for people to donate and to participate in other organizations, such as the Diabetes Foundation or the Cancer Foundation or whatever that is. I just want people who are passionate about saving and rescuing and helping human trafficking victims. And I totally get that if it's not their cup of tea, or if it's not something that they passionately want to love and take care of, that they shouldn't get involved. And that's fine. I get it. I respect that.
Oh, gosh. Debbie, did you have some questions about Orly's books?
I did. How many books do you have out, and could you tell us a little bit about them?
So as a business coach for public speakers, I'm the only one in the world that guarantees they'll make $150K their first year in public speaking. And I've been asked, well, how can you guarantee that? And so the reason is that I work with them until they do. But I wrote a book called Public Speakers, You're Not All That, 12 Reasons Why Event Planners Won't Hire You. And for that book, I interviewed over 3,400 event planners that actually pay speakers. It took me 4.5 years out of my own time and my own dime. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to get the answers from the horse's mouth. It started by me attending an event where I was speaking, and in the break room for speakers, these 3 guys came over to me, and one of them said, "Aren't you Orly Armor?" I said, "Yes." "Do I know you?" "Sorry, I don't remember." And one of them said, and one of them said, "No, we've never met before, but we've seen you on the circuit." I said, "Oh, okay." And after networking for about a few minutes, one of them said to me, "I'm just curious, how did you get this gig?" So I said, "Well, I don't know. I called, I told them what I speak about. They paid me, and I'm here." And they all looked at me like if I had 3 heads. "You got paid?" And I'm like, uh-oh, what did I just do, right? And so they said, well, I said, yeah, well, you guys didn't get paid? And they're like, no, we got our expenses paid, but we didn't get paid. And I said, no, I got paid and I got my expenses paid. At that point, I was rubbing it in, but not intentionally. And so they said, well, we want to know how you did that. And now that you guys get my personality a little bit, they said, well, we want to know how you did that. And I said, well, if I tell you, I'm going to have to charge you. But I was just kidding because I wasn't coaching at the time. And so they said, okay, name your price. And I'm like, what? Let me get back to you on that. But I realized also that, the book had to come out because a lot of speakers are there either to feed their ego or their pocket. And I want them to think about feeding their pocket because that's their message, their way of helping the world and shaping the world is about, selling their intellectual property. So they do need to get paid. And that's how I got started coaching 12 years ago. Actually, I just celebrated this month my 12th year in coaching since 2010.
Wow.
What a great story. I love it. I was talking with somebody many years ago when have been doing a lot of coaching on a volunteer basis through my church and different church related organizations. And one day I was talking to a friend of mine and he said, Steve, you need to get paid for what you do. And like,
Yeah,
well, no, I just really love and so forth. He says, no, you don't understand. You have expenses, you have a family, you have this, you need to be paid. And then
yeah.
just a short amount of time ago, I had another coach that we were talking about my pricing structure, and he says, "You've been doing this for a long time, haven't you?" I said, "Yeah, I have." And he says, "Okay, you need to up your prices."
Increase your price. So
So
let me share four statistics with you to wrap
please,
it up. One is that this is $150 billion a year. I'm sorry, $100 billion a year industry,
yeah,
and the brokerage of speakers and coaches is already predicting that just by the end of this year, that will increase by $13.2 billion. We
wow,
are 1 million coaches short in the world. We are 1 million speakers short in the world. From
wow,
that, this is not my statistics, it's from the brokerage firm. So and there are 64,000 events a day in America alone, Canada and the United States, that pay speakers, yet most speakers are not making any money. And you want to wonder why, right? So there's two reasons why they don't make money. One, they don't know how, so we can't blame them for that. And two, they're lazy, they don't want to do the work, they just want to
yeah,
show up. And it doesn't work that way. I mean, any business worth having success is work. you
yeah,
know
exactly. Exactly. And, I heard Mr. Zig Ziglar say many years ago, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly until you learn to do it well.
right.
So
I
sometimes
love Zig.
you have to crawl before you can walk, and you have to walk before you can run. So you're going to get some bumps and bruises along the way, but
That it's totally
that's
worth
just
it.
part of the process.
Sure.
So Orly, we are running out of time very quickly. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate
Thank
and
you.
thank you. As I said earlier, it's a very depressing subject, but thank you for giving us some hope with the things that you're doing with the foundation. So,
Thank
Debbie,
you.
did you have anything you wanted to add?
I just thank you very much, Orly. Like I was saying, people do want to stick their head in the sand, and it's people like you that keep it front and center. So we have to look at it. We have to do something about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you both for having me. I appreciate it. Very grateful.
Well, Orly, I see the work that you are doing is vital. Debbie, the things that you and Ray are doing with Heroes in Action, actually absolutely crucial that you're going into schools and civic organizations and all different types of venues to teach some things about anti-bullying, how to protect yourself, mindset, all of those kinds of things. So, ladies, it has been an absolute delight to have you on the program today. Um, I can't go without giving my best wishes to my partner, Ray. I hope that he will be back with us next week. But if not, Debbie, you did a fabulous job today. So we don't need Ray anymore. So we may just have to change the program name. So anyway, I am kidding. We're gonna let him back in as soon as he's back running with us. So guys, it has been an absolute delight. Whatever you do, make sure that you like, you share, you comment on our podcast, whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube Live, either of those two. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on on YouTube. Please do not keep us a secret. Help us get the word out on all of these crucial taboo topics, those things that people do not want to talk about, whether they're ashamed of it, they're trying to hide something, whatever the case is. These are things that we need to talk about. So get ready. Next week, we've got another powerful show that is in tune for you for next week. So until then, this is Steve Reed and Debbie Schofield with Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. I hope you have a blessed day today. Goodbye for now.